September was the 16th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks. Hostility towards Muslims has only increased since that day. That's one of the reasons that the InterReligious Institute at Chicago Theological Seminary partnered with Muslims Against Hunger for a day of unity and service on September 10th. For more, let's welcome Lisa Seiwert, Project Director at the InterReligious Institute. We welcome two youth who participated in the day. Eleanor Skish is in the 10th grade at the University of Chicago Lab School, and Salma Selenica is an 8th grader at Lane Tech High School. Lisa, can you tell us a little bit about the InterReligious Institute?
The InterReligious Institute is a new initiative at Chicago Theological Seminary, and it grows out of our long-standing commitment to interfaith work that goes actually back to the 1960s for us. We recently received a grant to allow us to deepen and broaden even more and to live into our commitments around interreligious engagement. So through the Institute, we have new curricular initiatives for the students who are at Chicago Theological Seminary, co-curricular opportunities for students to be engaged in internships and research, and also public events. And the Day of Unity and Service was our first public event as an institute. It was actually, we launched in September, so this was our very first initiative. Muslims Against Hunger partnered with us on this event, and they work with an organization called the Hunger Van to pack meal kits that are then delivered to people in need of food. And so on our day, we were able to make 22,000 meals together.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a productive day.
Yes. Yeah.
Tell me, Eleanor, how did you get involved in this project?
Well, I found out about it through my mother,
Okay.
Who works at CTS, and I'm about to do a year of service for my school.
Okay.
I thought it was just a very good opportunity to get started with that, and it's a very important thing to do.
Sure. And Salma, how about you?
Well, my mom also works at CTS, and I found out about it through her, and I decided to go because it's a better thing to do than sit on the couch and watch football.
Absolutely. Although that's not all bad either.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
Okay. Lisa, why was it important to tie this event to the anniversary of September 11th?
Well, I think, as you mentioned, since September 11th, we've seen a rise in anti-Muslim rhetoric and in persecution of religious minorities across the country. And there are a number of different ways that I think we can work to counter that. And one of those ways, I think, is by coming together and drawing people together from different religious backgrounds, different life stance backgrounds, different generations, different populations, coming together to do good in the world and also to have a joyous time. I mean, the event was really lovely. We played music and we had assembly lines going, and we had different workstations, and the workstations were having little competitions with each other when they'd get to 100 bags, shouting it out. And I think that, you know, with the negativity in our world, sometimes coming together to say, like, we can make a difference in the lives of people, and we can do so with joy and by meeting new people. There's a lot of power in that. So that's why I was really excited to have this be our first event.
It sounds like a fabulous day.
Yeah.
Can you two tell me a little bit about what you did? Were you in an assembly line?
Yeah, I weighed the bags to make sure they had enough food.
Okay.
They had to be around like 10 pounds or something. And if it didn't have enough, I scooped more rice into it.
Okay, added a little bit of weight.
Yeah.
Okay.
I went for the morning shift and the afternoon shift. So in the morning, I aligned the bags and handed it to the person who was going to seal them. And then in the afternoon, I did what Eleanor did, and I would weigh it and then fill it more if it didn't have enough. And it was it wasn't hard.
Well, good. Yeah. Doesn't have to be hard to be important. Do you know anything about who received the bags of food?
Yes, the guy who took them, who made them, took them down to Florida to help to put them in the shelters for the people affected by the hurricane.
Wow, you managed to touch a lot of issues in one afternoon, huh?
Yeah, it was really, that wasn't the original intent. So they were going to stay here with an organization called Mosque Cares,
okay,
to be distributed throughout the next 6 months. And then in the wake of the hurricane, Zamir Hassan, who runs the Hunger Van, decided to take our meals plus another about equal amount down to Florida, and he actually just arrived there. So he's been posting videos of distributing the the meal kits in shelters, and so that was really exciting. And I think a testament also to his ability as an organization to think on his feet and say, here's a need, let's do these. So
shift gears a little bit.
Yeah.
That's impressive. Did you learn anything? Did anything surprise you from your day?
I've been fortunate enough to live and grow up in a pretty diverse community. But it's always nice to see, like what she said, a group of people, like very different people, all together doing something for the greater good. Because a lot of times nowadays, with all the discrimination, there's not a lot of that happening, or not a lot of that being portrayed through the media, and I think it's really important to have that happen.
Absolutely. Can you tell us more about what your community is? Where do you live, Eleanor?
I actually live in Indiana, but I go to school at the University of Chicago Lab School, and it's very, very open and diverse to all types of people.
So you see other cultures and other religions on a regular basis. Did this make you think any differently?
Well, I thought that it was kind of easy to make that many meals, and it's kind of surprising how simple it is to do such great good. And I would have thought that just one bag of food that we made would have been one meal that would have been done in 5 minutes, but it's 10 meals that would take days to finish.
That's amazing what a difference we can make, especially if you pull people together. Now, Lisa, some people might look at the events of the world and say, is this really going to make a difference? Does one day of a handful of people in Chicago getting together change the issues we have between faiths right now?
I mean, I think so. It's the issues that we have need to be tackled from multiple vantage points, and one of those ways really is, though, through making connections, for getting to know people, for recognizing that though we may have different philosophies or different outlooks on life, we have shared commitments toward taking care of those who are the most vulnerable in our society. And I think the more that we can have these types of opportunities and normalize the fact that people who are diverse and different from one another can come together and work together on shared goals, it does help to counter the narratives that we see, right? And it does help to counter, when the news is full of Charlottesville, for example, right? We need moments like this to remind ourselves that that is not representative of who we are as a people and as communities, nor is it what we want to be. Right. So I think it's a really important piece to what needs to happen. There also needs to be better education efforts, and we need to have, make sure that our legislation is passing laws that are safeguarding the ability for people to practice their religions. But these kind of, even the smallest interpersonal interactions, I think, are incredibly powerful. So, and I was, for this event too, because it was open, intergenerational, we had children as young as 4 and 5 that were helping in the lines,
great.
And it was just wonderful. So seeing them take their responsibility, and also teaching children from a young age that, of course, this is what we do. Of course, we worked with people who are different from us, and really, they're not that different from us, right? They have different practices or different ways of understanding their world, but when it comes right down to it, right, we're all capable of compassion, and we're all capable of joy and friendship, and as Selma said, sharing an afternoon or whatever, a little bit of our time in making a difference and making thousands of meals that individually none of us could do.
That will touch really a lot of people. Eleanor mentioned having good exposure to diversity in her school. Selma, do you feel like you get exposed to that outside of events like this one?
Yeah, my school has over 4,000 students, so I meet a lot of different people and kids, and I take a school bus to school, and my bus is also the special needs kids bus, so I get exposed to other kids' issues and how their lives are affected by it.
Thank you, Lisa and Eleanor and Salma. I'm Polly Toner for Different Drummers in the Greater Chicago Broadcast Ministries. Keep the faith.